Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the struggle bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. On today's bus ride, we are playing against a 14K on OGS, and we have not one, but two interesting Tsumego life and death situations. So we can see how those situations arise in our actual games and see why doing Tsumego is actually important, even though lots of us do not think that doing Tsumego is fun at all. It's obviously fairly important. So watch the game and you can see when that pops up. Either way, I'd like to thank my opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos. And I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. So with that introduction out of the way, let's go honk into this game. Here we go. We are playing against a 14K on OGS. We are going to be doing some strict adherence to the basic rules. So we are going to be caring about the corners, then the sides, then the center. We will be responding when our opponent attaches to us. So we will go protect the corner because the corner is more important than the side. Let's see where our friend plays here. We will be looking at trying to make cuts. And if we make a cut, make sure we have an answer for it. In this case, we do. If our opponent cuts, we just play F17 and push down. We will block because we care about the corner. Now, you might be saying, hey, that's a second line move, but it's also a third line move, and it helps grab the corner. So we can play this move. And then our opponent jumps out. So we want to keep on securing our group here. So we're just going to do it with this move here. It moves a little faster. Now we'll never have to worry about this cut. Our opponent says, hey, we're done here. I have sensei. I'm going to go take one of the other corners, and that is perfectly fine. We've got two corners left. We'll go approach our opponents first. Usually it's larger to approach a 3-4 stone than it is to enclose a 4-4 stone. So we will block here because we got attached to. Our opponent will most likely play O3 here. Or our opponent decided to make things interesting. We wanted to keep things simple, but our opponent has pincered us. And as we know, once pincers get thrown in the mix, things get a little complicated. So our opponent should have played on this side, or they didn't need to play on this side, but typically those are the options. They're either going to play over here or they're going to play here. So that tells us our move should probably be over here. This one's a little less basic. You want to know what? We'll just keep it simple. Normally we would attach at P3, but that makes things a little complicated. Let's just run. We are going to run out quickly because this is also a way to handle pincers. And admittedly, if I had played Q5, so if it had gone this way and our opponent had played this, I would have just jumped out. So anyway, here we are. Our opponent has secured some potential up here, but is kind of not helping this corner a little bit. So let's go play a move like this. Look to just surround the corner. I want to see how black handles this. But it's also important that we make sure we get some nice outside influence because our opponent is going to be getting some points in the corner. So I'm just looking to block here. If our opponent plays something over here, I'm going to block as well. Our opponent is an aggressive player, and I am here for it. So now we have to worry about this cut a little bit because we do have a cut here, right? And now black has some stones over here and some stones over here. So let's just protect the cut in a nice aggressive way. We will play here, kind of forces the issue here. I'll also go and play this just to make sure that black fixes up their shape here. And we are very, very strong now. So now we have some strength. We can maybe go bully this stone a little bit. You can see how we can go about doing that. Okay, so our opponent has now made life in the corner, but has this stone that's not really doing too healthy. We want to make sure we respond to this appropriately. We've got a couple options. We can pincer it ourselves. We could play on top and look for influence, but in this case, they pincered us. We're going to pincer them. So I'm just going to play this move here and just chase this stone around a little bit. And as we chase this stone, we will be developing the left-hand side and the corner. Remember, guys, when we are attacking stones, our goal is not to kill these stones. I don't even know if I can kill this stone. But even if I could, that really shouldn't be our goal. Our goal should be to get profit. In this case, though, Black has now just Tenuki'd and played 3-3. At this point, Sente is going to be really important to us. So I'm going to choose a variation that gives me Sente. So I'm not going to play this Hane. I'm going to extend one more time. And then Black can extend. And now we play this Hane. Black will typically play the Hane here. And we can Tenuki from this. Because all we were looking to do was to get some strength here. Because what does strength like to be used for? Fighting. And what are we going to do now? We're going to fight. So we attacked this stone, and our opponent didn't respond. Now, you're going to say, hey, Gabe, I thought you said we're not looking to kill stones. And that's true. Our goal is not to kill the stone, but we attacked and our opponent didn't respond. Your attacks should threaten to kill. And if your opponent just throws their hands in the air and says, oh, well, then we can kill the stone. So I'm just going to play here. This should kill this stone now, which is fine. This isn't even terrible for Black. Black is actually in a good position this game. I like this follow-up. We will connect. Often Black will play C2 now. Black extends. We will take the Hane because we don't want Black to get too far ahead of us here. So Black could look at something like D9, Hane. I assume our opponent's going to Tenuki, though. If I can, if I've learned one thing of our friend in 40 moves of our Go game, our friend likes to Tenuki. So let's see where they play. And now they're calling me a liar. They were like, hey, you thought I was going to Tenuki. Guess what I'm not going to do this time? I'm not going to Tenuki. Okay, I don't want Black to get fantastic shape by playing this Hane. So we're just going to extend. This grows our potential. And now Black looks to secure the side a little more, which is fine. So really, there's only one big area left on the board. The corners are spoken for. All the sides are spoken for except for one, and that is the top side. So that is where we'll be playing. There are a couple moves we could look at that are a little complicated, but I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to approach. Normally I would play Q16 here, but that's a little beyond the basics. Let's just play O17. It's a nice approach on this corner. Black will probably pincer. Black probably should pincer. And now we'll just jump out. And this is okay, right? Neither one of us are going to get points in the top, really. But it was just important that my opponent didn't get the points. Okay, so this is a little overextended. We have a nice invasion point here, but we've got a weak group, potentially, that we want to take care of first. So let's go take care of it. We'll go poke this shape a little bit, and then just play nice and solid. We'll take this, because before you do any fighting, you need to make sure that your groups are strong. Because if you have a weak group nearby and you go and start a fight, then that weak group is a liability. We don't want liabilities. We want friends. Okay, so that's fine. We will just block this peep, which makes us even stronger, though it does help Black a little bit of strength. Black should probably play something around K16. But Black is going to push on this group. So let's talk about shape a little bit. Sometimes we need liberties. We would extend like this. Sometimes we need to make eyes. We would play here. Sometimes we just want to move quickly, because we're not going to live locally here. We need to run. So we're going to move fast here. We're going to go play this nice panther shape here. It cannot be cut. And then we will push here, which threatens to cut both sides. And we will jump out. Again, fast. We just want to get in and get out. Now this group is very strong. And our opponent found some fantastic timing to help this group. Of course, did it with really weird shape that leaves this very strong cut behind at J16. And so I'm just going to poke this cut and see how Black responds to this. We could also play K16. We could still probably also play K17. But let's just do the shape move and see how this goes. Okay. And so our friend replies in this way, which is the broken Keima. And now we are just going to push right through because our friends did not protect a cut. So we are just going to push through that cut. There's really nothing else we could consider here. And we will just continue pushing, keeping the stones separated. So now as Black tries to fix this, these stones are going to start being in trouble. So I'm just going to take the turn here and see if we can isolate these two stones. There's a cut here. I will take it. And now these two stones are fully isolated. You can see the the failure in the shape here. Of course, black has gotten a strong base on the top, is most likely alive, and all they had to do is sacrifice two stones for it. So that's not terrible, but this is going to give us further control of the center, which is going to be pretty tricky. Okay, so now there's another cut here, but I don't want to play this because I've only got two liberties here. Liberties are really important, so I'm going to turn here, which extends my liberties. Now this threatens this cut, so black will probably need to fix this cut. And these two stones are still not alive. Black did not fix the cut. We're just going to take it. We're just going to take the cut, keep it real simple, go capture this stone, connect up. These two stones are still completely isolated. Black should probably sacrifice them because black will get in trouble if black tries to save. So now black is looking to extend, but there's probably a bigger area over here. And so let's go poke at that a little bit. What are we going to do? We're just going to attach right on top of this stone and reduce it this way. Our opponent Hane's on this side. There's a number of options we could do. We can extend, Hane, crosscut. I think I'm just going to Hane here. Show this little shape sequence. Black probably should not Atari here. Good job, black. And now we're just going to connect. All we were looking to do here was to reduce the potential. And so that is all we are doing. Now, what's the goal of this game for us? The goal of this game is to make sure that this turns into enough points to win the game. Because black has a lot of points on this board. Black has a pretty good corner here, a pretty good corner here, a really large side here, a really large side here. So we need to make sure that our potential over here turns into enough to win this game. So we're going to block black from coming in. And we're going to try to turn this into enough points. Black attaches. We can look at the Hane. We can look at the extension. Often the Hane is the better option if you can get away with it. And what I mean by get away with it is, can we handle this cut? You can't play a cut. You can't play a stone that can be cut unless you have an answer for that cut. But we do have an answer for this cut. And I will show it if it does come up. So we will play this. And now black extended. And now that black's a little stronger here, I'm a little worried about the cut. So I'm going to protect the cut. I'm going to play here. This actively protects the cut. And black has turned here. That is fine. We will just put one more move to protect our territory here. And black presses in, but there's no cut here. If black pushes, we'll just block. If black throws in, we will block here. So now we're pretty much in endgame at this point in time. So where are the big endgame moves? Well, we want to be looking for moves that are sente, that our opponent has to respond to, else they lose a lot of points. So we have a move like this. Obviously, if black does not respond to this, the corner is in trouble. We have a lot of first line Hanes. We can play this first line Hane here, where if black doesn't respond, now we jump in and black's going to lose a lot of points in here. So black needs to respond. We now have this second line move. If black doesn't respond to this, we get to monkey jump and take a lot of the points of the corner away. So black probably should block there. Now we get this first line Hane. If black doesn't respond to this, we jump in and get a lot of the corner. We can go again. And now we're in Atari, we connect, but now black has to protect this stone. And black does that. Where is another big sente move? We've got C2, which isn't quite sente, but it's really big. And then we've got something like D10, which also isn't going to be sente, but it's fairly large. But I think C2 is larger. So we're going to go do this. Black's going to respond because black doesn't want us to push into the corner. And now we're just going to connect because we have a cut. And now it's black's turn. We found all the sente moves we could find. And so now it's black's turn to see if they can find sente moves. Unfortunately, they responded to a move that they did not need to respond to. So it's back to us for playing sente moves. And I think D10 is a little too strong. like too harsh of a move. Also, it leaves a cut behind. If we play this and our opponent plays d9, there's a cut. So I don't think we can do that. So instead, I'm just going to jump, which threatens to push in. And so that reduces a little bit. And what do we have now? We can play this move, which threatens to take away the base of this group, which would not be fun for our friend. And then we can play here, which threatens to kill that group. And now we'll connect. And now our friend probably needs to play L18 because we know this shape. If we play right here, I think this group is probably dead. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to respond here. I don't want to kill this group. And we're going to give our opponent another chance. I'm just going to just play here just to see if our opponent can find L18. It's a very important move. We need to know this shape, this bulky 5. This is a very common life and death shape. Our opponent has not found it. That is a little unfortunate. Okay, we'll play here, which pretty much 100% kills these stones. Does this still work? This probably still works. Sure, we'll connect up. If black connects, we'll just turn. Otherwise, we'll play here and kill these 2 stones. But let's see what black does. Okay, so now black is threatening to connect up and run out, so we will just kill these 2 stones now. It is somewhat important for the strength of our groups. I can play a sneaky and play this. I don't actually think that works. Let's just capture the stones. Okay. And so black plays here. We've got a little tricky here. We're going to play this Hane. Black has this cut that they need to worry about because it comes with an Atari, and then we could Atari and kill these stones. So good job, black, for finding that. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We are going to block right here to, basically firm up our borders. That is all we are looking to do right now. Okay, we will play here. Looks fine. And at this point, we're pretty much just in the nitty-gritty of the final endgame stuff. So let's just go find, what final Sente moves we can find. Again, L18 kills this group. We're not going to play it. Let's go play here. That's a fairly big endgame move. We do have these 3 stones that probably need a little support. So let's go play here. See what we can do to disrupt any points that black could get here. It's the center of the board. It's pretty much impossible to get points in the center of the board, which is why we don't care about it. Okay, and then we will play here. Threatens to kill these 3 stones because we can play here, which Ataris them. Good job. And we will play here just to block this off, though again, center of the board, we're not really going to get any points here, but we might get some points. We can push here. Threatens T8, so black should probably respond to this, because otherwise we get a Sente follow-up. And similarly, we will play here. It comes with a similar follow-up. Okay, we will play the Atari. Black will connect. We'll go play here. Black should block. And that's really it, huh? We'll play here. Maybe black can play here. Okay, let's see if we can get black to play this to be alive. Play N17, my friend. Good job. Thank you. Okay, so now black is alive. Now black is nice and alive. So we'll play here. Threatens to push in. Just a 1-point move. And I think that's really all we have left on this board is 1-point moves. So we'll go play... This might have been more than a point. Who knows? We will Atari. Black will have to connect. We don't care about this cut because if black Ataris us, we can just connect. I mean, this is after, obviously, assuming black connects here. Black certainly can't Atari now because then we just capture the stone. Okay, and so black connects. We'll block here. What else do we have? We can block here. And at this point, we really just have just like 1-point moves left. So we'll skip to the end. I will see you guys at the end of this game. Okay, so here we are at the game, and as we figured, our bottom territory was large enough to win this game. But it was definitely an interesting one with our opponent playing lots of tenukis, which can often trip us up. But before we get into the review, I wanna take a look at something. And that something is this final board state. I am curious if you guys see anything here. Now, it's worth noting, I often say that doing Tsumego doesn't help too much, right? But that's obviously not true, because Tsumego does do a really good job of showing us patterns and shapes that do show up frequently, and show us the little tips and tricks that we can do to get through this. So now this is a situation where if I had never done Tsumego, I probably would have never found this. I saw it in the game, I left it alone, but I'm curious if you guys see anything on this board, because there's a little sneaky here. It's nothing huge, but there's something on this board, and I'm curious if you guys see it. Hopefully I don't need to point out where it could be, because there's really only so many places that there's like truly a Tsumego on this board. And it looks like a Tsumego. So I'm curious, let me know in the comments if you guys see anything in this final board position that either player could do to maybe just, you know, get 5 more points or so. So anyway, let me know in the comments if you see it, because it is a pretty interesting one. I will show it at the end of the review, as long as I remember, but hopefully I remember. So anyway, let's get into the review of this game. Okay, so here we are. Things start off normal enough. This is a pretty odd approach, but that's okay. We block, we hane, black pulls back, we descend, and then black plays here. This isn't enough for black. Black is giving white a good amount of points here and some strength, and black isn't getting enough out of this. Typically, we would want to jump at least this far, but I think black's probably obligated to just play the hane, maybe push one more time, and then come try to play a move like this. This could be a way to get something, but white's definitely getting more than black is out of here. But this is just a little too over-concentrated. White could immediately play a move like this, which is pretty much going to force black to run out. But the issue here is now black isn't getting proper compensation for this. White's getting a lot of points up here, but black really isn't getting anything because this C12 stone is just ruining everything. And there's really no way to attack it. If we pincer it, then white's just going to jump out and it's going to be strong enough, and black's not getting anything out of this. And that's kind of the shortcoming of this approach, which is why we typically don't see this. Typically, we're going to be either approaching at the knight's move or the one space high approach. We typically do not see this in our games, and this is the reason why. Okay, but we display here black tanuki is perfectly fine. This is obviously going to be their theme of tanukiing, and then black plays this pincer. Perfectly reasonable. Typically, white's just going to play this immediately, and it'll go something like this. And white's going to get some good strength, some influence, with the intent of later trying to attack this stone if we have the opportunity to do so. We just decided to jump out. It's the simpler of the two options. Black extends up top to make a nice base here, perfectly reasonable. And so we just decide to surround the corner. And this move was probably a little much. You know, if we play here right now, it's possible that black has trouble living. I'm not so sure. But this is just creating an unnecessary weak stone. If black wanted to tanuki, I would probably just go approach its corner, either with the 3-3 or probably on this side, so that, you know, if we do this, we can maybe go fly back high, or maybe even go and play something like d10. But this, you know, this is probably the start of black getting in trouble, and so we just firm this up and then go attack this stone. I was really surprised to see that black did not respond here. This is what I was expecting, and in this situation we could go get strength for the weaker group, and then as black goes here, you know, we just do stuff like this, looking for this to be our profit, right? This is what I mean when I say we attack stones for a profit. You know, we're bullying these stones a little bit, and even here, black probably still needs to run, right? And so now we can maybe go and do this, right? And you can see we get this nice double wing formation. Black still isn't fully secure, but black decided to just give the stone up, which I guess is okay. But if black was going to give this stone up, why did they play it in the first place? Just leave the aji for later, right? If if black was eventually just going to take the 3-3, I point out this would be a fine move right here. Play this and then see if we can invade later. But yeah, it was a little suspect to play that stone and then not save it. So we decided to take the sensei option because I wanted to come back and finish this stone. I like this move by black. I like this move by black. I like this move by black. Very good sequence. And this seems reasonable as well. I don't have too much to say about this. So then we go approach. I mentioned that normally I would play here, and I would expect black to block. We would play this Hane. I would expect black to Atari, and then descend, and then we can go and jump. This is a typical variation. If you see this formation a lot, right, the 3-4 with the knight's enclosure, this is a way to reduce it and to turn to get the outside. Normally, black is not going to take this. In this case, the ladder doesn't work for black, but in doing so, black can end up losing losing a bit of the corner. So if black captures, we have this, and so it's just annoying, right? And if black extends, we even have this Atari, and then we can play this. And so black typically isn't going to cross-cut you. They're normally just going to Atari here to take the side, extend to take the corner, and then we can jump out to make a base here. Black pincers seems perfectly reasonable. This, I think this was a little much. I think this right now is probably going to be tough for black to handle because this stone is next to a strong group. But it turns into a running fight, and this group isn't very strong right now. So we don't want to necessarily do this, which is why I was like, hey, let's get strength first, and then we can go. So all of this seems reasonable by black. And then I really like the timing on this. Again, I just really dislike the move. Black just needed to play here. Very strong shape. There's not much that we're going to be able to do against this group now. But you can see the damage that was caused by black playing this weak shape. We were able to cut immediately, and black ended up losing those 2 stones, which is a lot. That's a lot to give up on this board. And then missing this cut, maybe not huge, but it seems somewhat important. And then at this point in time, this was just a little slow. So it's actually too early in the game to care about points yet. And I know that doesn't make sense. But what we want to be doing is we still want to be looking at potential for points. We want to either make sure our opponent has as little potential as possible, or we have as much potential as possible. And then we use the strength of our groups and our potential to turn that potential into points. But that comes later. That comes, 50 moves later on this board, 30 moves later on this board. So looking at this, black obviously has sensei. What should we be looking at here? Well, I see 2 main areas of potential. Area 1 is obviously this. This is like the big elephant in the room. This is, how many points is this actually going to turn into for white? And then black has some potential over here. But the potential is much smaller than here. Black also has potential over here, but the potential is really stunted there because of these 2 third-line stones. So a lot's already been put in here, so this potential has been a little squandered, which is okay. But for black here, I think we really need to address this. For me, I would probably start with this, because if white doesn't respond, if white goes and plays here, this monkey jump's going to chew up a lot of points. So we would expect white to block here. And now we need to do something. The question is, how deep can we truly play here? I'm sure some of you have heard the term sector line. What that means is you want to identify the 2 stones in your opponent's moyo that are the furthest out, and you want to draw a line between them. So the question is, obviously this is the furthest one out here. Are we going to consider A the lead stone or B the lead stone? Because that's going to answer where our sector line is. So our sector line is either here or here. And I struggle to say which is which. But in general, you want to identify this sector line. In this case, I would probably call it B, because white does have some support up top. So let's say that this is white's sector line. The way I approach it is this. If you think you are losing this game, play inside the sector line. If you think you are winning this game, play right outside the sector line. And if you think the game is close, play on that sector line. Generally, if you play on the sector line, you should be okay. You should be okay to not die. If you play outside, obviously you'll live, but you might not do as much damage as you need to. And if you play inside, it's high risk, high reward. So in this case, if black felt like they really needed to win this game because they were behind, they could look at playing deep like this and just really hope that a move like this or a move like this doesn't kill your stone. But in this case, it's going to be tough, but not impossible, right? We could sacrifice this stone strategically by playing something like this and letting this happen. Okay, so now all of a sudden we have successfully reduced. We sacrificed a stone to do it, perfectly okay, and we have successfully reduced this Moya. But it comes with the risk, because if white wants to be firm about it, white can fight, because white has all the strength here. And so J5 is probably a little too deep in this situation. So coming back again to the sector line, playing J5 is a little too much. How about J6? Maybe we could get away with J6, right? If we play here, we would probably struggle to kill the stone, and it's possible that your opponent plays this, and you're just like, all right, get in, get out, our job is done, we reduced. And so this is what I would recommend for black, is playing something around here. If you're very confident with invasions, you could try something like H5. If you're not as confident, you could do something like J7. Either way, this needs to be the focus of the board. Playing over here allows white to play a move like this, which will really grow the potential. I forget where I played. I pressed over here first, but then started taking these moves to firm up our potential. So now I'm at the point in the game where I am playing moves to get points. I'm turning this potential into points and understanding that this will win us the game because it is big enough. So that was pretty much it for like the strategy of the game. So in terms of tactics, at the top here, yeah, once black played this, this move kills. So it's really important to understand that when you're looking to get eye space, even if we don't recognize that this is necessarily a dead shape, it's really important to know that these first line Hanes never extend eye space. Sometimes they even hurt your eye space because white can throw in here and we capture. Now all of a sudden K19 is not part of our eye space anymore because we have a stone there. And interestingly, if we had just descended, K19 is part of our eye space. So of course, black is still dead in this situation. But it's important to know that these first line Hanes never extend your eye space. Once black played there, if we play here, black is dead. We need to recognize this bulky 5 shape. This is a very common life and death shape. And once we see that, we can go and kill it. We have 3 rules for when we try to kill groups. Rule number 1, or there are steps you need to take. First step is surround the group. There's no point in killing the group if it can just run away. But black's fully surrounded here. So step 1 is surround the group. Step 2 is reduce the eye space. The eye space has already been reduced and black didn't do anything to extend the eye space. And then step 3 is play the vital point to kill the group. So in this case, we see the bulky 5, we play this. Black is dead. There's nothing black can do to save this group now. Black can try to make a second eye, but then we can go here, reduce the eye space, and now this is a false eye and black is going to die. So black needed to recognize that here and go and play this, because now black has 2 eyes and black is alive. The other thing is at the end of the game. So let's go to the end of the game. I asked you at the beginning if you saw anything here. How sharp are your Tsumego skills? Have you been practicing? I will draw attention to this corner here in case you did not identify it. So this is the area. So now that it's been identified, you can pause the video if you want and take a look at it and see if you see anything here. And so what do we have here? Well, we have this little interesting move right here. And you're like, well, wait a second. They're just going to Atari that. And now we descend. And now what's black going to do? Black can't Atari us because then we capture. And they capture back and it's the same position. And we know that they can't play T1. So they can't do that. If they Atari us here, the whole group dies. That'd be pretty tragic. So that doesn't work. How about if they Atari us from here? Well, you'll notice it's a symmetric shape. We just descend here. And same thing, black can't play here because black dies. And black can't play here because we just capture. And they capture back, and it's the same shape. So this is Seki. If we are able to find S2, this is Seki. The best black can do is Atari and we descend. And that's it. And now all of a sudden, black doesn't get any points here. We don't get any points either. But it's just an interesting reduction. And this is something we can learn by doing Tsumego. That's why I know this shape. Again, I knock on doing Tsumego a lot. I don't think they're fun, but they obviously have, they obviously have their strength as a teaching tool. We certainly cannot deny that. And this is a benefit of doing Tsumego that I've done, is I did recognize this in the game. I left it alone. I knew I was ahead this game. I didn't want to play this far. Maybe I should have shown my opponent this, but if he watches the video, hello opponent, thank you for playing, then this is a shape that they now know. Anyway, so 2 life and death situations in this one, which is always fun to see. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Either way, thank you for coming along for another Ride and Struggle Bus where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.